there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing The Fault in Our Stars, but this time I'm going to be doing the movie. Same exact plot line. Almost every detail was in there. I was so happy. I have to applaud the amazing art style and just like the acting style that they used. Shailene Woodley, she played Hazel Grace Lancaster, and it was really interesting how they had her do the movies, because first it was Divergent, and then The Fault in Our Stars, and then Insurgent. It was really ironic because in Insurgent, the main character ends up cutting her hair, while in The Fault in Our Stars, the main character already had short hair, so it was really easy for her, instead of just having to wear a wig or something. It was just awesome. So she did a really good job. She played the character really well. I applaud her for that. I also applaud Ansel Elgort. I'm gonna like swoon for a moment because he is 6 feet of just gorgeousness. Whenever he smiles at like the red carpet screenings or in a magazine or something, he just has the best personality, and you could tell that in somebody's smile. And it was awesome just seeing him play that character. And when you're acting, you generally put some part of yourself out there, and I saw Ansel Elgort's fun, loving side of him in the movie, but I also saw a part of him that was like, it was a little bit deeper, and it was towards the ending where Gus ends up getting cancer, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. And it got to the point where I wasn't just watching a movie and I knew that they were actors. I was watching a story being played out by these characters who I connected to, and I was really happy with the ending. And then it like dawned on me, I was like, wait, this isn't real, this is fictional. And that made me even more sad because I'm like, I can't date Gus. So when it got towards the end with Gus finding out that he has cancer, and then Hazel finding out that he has cancer as well, and the gas station scene where he wanted to go get cigarettes for himself. He doesn't smoke them. He wanted to be able to do something where he didn't need anybody's help, which he needed a lot of help up until that point. He was like, you know what, I want to be able to drive and go get cigarettes for myself. And he just basically had a mental breakdown. And I know it sounds weird, but I like this part because it showed a side of the actor and the actresses in the movie that when you usually watch a movie with good-looking people, they cry like good-looking people. They don't look like normal people who, you know, get splotchy-faced and their eyes are just rimmed red and snot is like dripping out of their nose. They don't usually show that in most Hollywood movies when there's like a big emotional part, like say a dog dies and the main character is a good-looking character. They're like, yes, they start crying, but it's almost like that sniffling cry, kind of like the it's like, it was that kind of crying in most Hollywood movies, but in this one, it was like crying into your pillow after you break up with a boyfriend or after a family member dies, where you're just like, you're letting all of the emotions out and you're heaving, and it's literally you are wailing with pain. That's how these actors and actresses played these characters, was like real people. How they were sobbing like they were in pain, how they were splotchy faced, and how like you could see Ansel Elgort look like not a pretty person in one scene. So my favorite parts were just exactly the same as the book. The egg scene, the Amsterdam story, how Gus acted with Hazel and Isaac, just because it was so much like the book, obviously my favorite parts are going to be exactly the same. So when it got down to the funeral, that was one of my favorite parts as well. It seems very backwards to most people, but I think it's because when you watch a funeral in a movie, it's a family sitting at a grave outside with the minister kind of mumbling in the back a little bit, and you don't really get to see a lot of emotion come from the characters. But with this one, since a funeral is kind of like a big part of the storyline, they had to be able to make the funeral like at least kind of not rushed, I guess. And so with like the fake funeral, how Hazel Grace was able to go up and say her eulogy to Augustus and say that you gave me infinity in X amount of days. And the hidden emotion behind that, and now it's come to a point where I don't have to imagine it, it's right there on the screen for me to see it. And that made it even more real, and it made the feels come out a lot more than it did with the book. Because in the book you can imagine something going 10 different ways. But in a movie, it's right there in front of you. You can't see it 10 different ways because they've done it for you. So the feelings that you have at that scene, those are the feelings you're gonna have every single time you watch that scene, because they're not gonna redo the movie again and then again and again. So when it got down to the eulogy with Hazel, I cried so freaking hard in the theaters, and then I cried again when I watched it at home with my mom. And then when it came down to Gus's eulogy, the one that he typed out for Hazel, Gus's eulogy for Hazel, he knew that she was gonna die eventually, and that was known to all the readers. So it became very, 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 very sad, because it became very real in a movie. Because in a book, yes, you can skip over the part and it's okay, but in a movie, you can't skip over certain parts because there's something important within that part that you're gonna skip that's gonna come up later. And it was just, Okay, my last favorite part was the Amsterdam. And it was partially because of how the author's secretary, I guess, treated Hazel and Gus, and how, you know, how she felt very bad for him, and the author was a jerk. I mean, he has somebody coming in and asking questions, and he probably has gotten that a lot, but he's such a hermit. After Hazel blew up at him and called him out on the crap that he used to pull, he just got mad and he was like, get out of my house. And I'm like, you jerk! You can't just do that to a fan, because first of all, if you do that to a fan, that is rude, and it's so wrong that you did that. They are there to ask you questions about your book, and you could have done like a meet and greet or something, or you could have given them the answer on the internet or something. But instead, she decided to come to Amsterdam to visit you, to ask you questions, and that was not cool how you treated her. And then your secretary goes on and takes the kids around Amsterdam and took them to the Anne Frank house, and she treated them a heck of a lot better than you did. So all around, you're just a jerk. Even when you showed up at Gus's funeral, you were still a jerk, and you haven't learned your lesson, and I hope to God that you do. I know this is a fictional character, but if there's anybody out there that you know that acts like that, you need to tell them right away. You need to tell them that they're being a jerk and they need to learn their lesson. Because if they don't know what they're doing wrong, they're gonna constantly keep doing it, and then they're just gonna get on your nerves all the time. And that's just not cool. And then you're not gonna like them anymore. And then they're gonna figure out why, because you haven't told them. So in the long run, you gotta tell them what's wrong. After my semi-rant is over, I think that the movie is still pretty good. Not one of the best movies I've seen, and I think it's partially because of a deeper meaning that I'm not able to grab from it. With the book, I'm able to grab like a deeper meaning, and I'm able to like dissect it a little bit more. With a movie, since it's right there in front of me, I'm not able to dissect it as well as I can with a book. So I still give this movie a 5 out of 5, but I'm not going to be able to give it a 6 out of 5 because it's not one of those movies where I'm just like, holy crap, that was good, I would watch it again. And I'm able to, you know, nitpick everything. It's that psychological part that I'm able to nitpick. So I give a shout out to Shailene Woodley. I give a shout out to Ansel Elgort. I'll give another shout out to John Green. I'll even put the Vlog Brothers and Crash Course down in the description below, so you are able to subscribe to John Green and his brother Hank Green. They are just crazy smart. That's about it. Thanks. Bye.